This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
And we start with the great Matt Verderame, ready to rock and roll, go around the NFL. Did you sleep with the Lombardi Trophy last night, or what?
No. I slept next to my wife, who is recovering from COVID. I mean, she's fine, but she can't taste anything, which
that's bad.
Which has been like, so I don't understand. So I've had COVID. I had it 2 years ago, and it was one of those deals. Everybody gets it differently, and I had it where I basically was draining from the sinuses like a mess for about 3 days. That was what happened to me, and I was really tired. So my wife now has had it 2 times, and both times she's lost taste. But the first time she lost taste for like an hour, and she was fine. Now she's lost taste for like 3 or 4 days. It's starting to come back. I said to her, the other day I came downstairs, and I don't know if you actually, yeah, you do have them before. I saw it when I was in Pensacola. Those crumble cookies. You ever see those? Like those big, yeah, okay. They're great, right? We get them every week, which we shouldn't, but we do. So I come downstairs, and she's sitting there eating one of these crumble cookies. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can't taste. You're eating like a 700 calorie cookie. You can't even taste it. This should be the time, and not. I mean, listen, she, God bless her, she's in much better shape than I'll ever be in. But I'm like, this should be the time. Like, you should be eating like broccoli. Like, you're always talking about losing like that pound that you have. Like, why don't you
kale, bro? That's what she should be.
You can't taste anything. This should be the time. Like, eat all the crap that you don't want to eat. And she's sitting there eating this chocolate frosted cookie. I'm like, can you even taste it? No. I'm like, what? Like, another time as a man, I'll never understand the woman sitting there eating a cookie she can't taste. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Well, Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction couldn't taste for over a year. I don't know. I don't know if he got his taste buds back.
I knew somebody who had it wasn't a year, but it was a while. It was like 3 or 4 months.
Dave Navarro from what's it called? Jane's Addiction. Yeah. He had it. I don't even know if it came back yet, actually, but it was like over a year the guy was suffering from it. It's DNA. It's just we have no idea how it affects one person or another, and that was just the crazy. One person, it could be a cold, and the other person could freaking die, dude. It's just it's insanity that stuff. But anyway, well, at least they charge 2 of the idiots so far from the parade, and apparently it doesn't look like it was a mass shooting. It was just a massive stupidity that led to the tragedy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to word this. I mean, amazingly, one person it's obviously tragic. Anybody lost their lives, and of course, I guess the way to put it is incredibly not more people were killed. Right. I mean, that's what I'm trying to drive at here. I mean, it's when 20 some odd people get shot, like usually the fatality rate with that kind of a weapon, you're talking about a lot higher than one person passing away. Still incredibly tragic, and both of those people, as far as I'm concerned, can get the chair if they're found guilty of it.
Me too. Got no problem with that.
But yeah, it's it was good to see the support for everybody. The Mahomes just went down to the Children's Hospital. Taylor Swift, listen, and the one thing I can't stand is when people like of means donate, and then other people are like, well, they have the money. Hey, look, she didn't have to donate anything.
She doesn't have to give a penny, bro.
Right.
One damn
$1,000. Kelsey matched it. Like, that was good to see. And then, of course, just a lot of just everyday people donating and whatnot to help the cause. So that's heartwarming. I would like to see the Chiefs next season do something for these victims, whether it is providing them with season tickets, whether it is a moment before the first game, whatever it may be. God knows the Chiefs and the NFL have the means. I'd like to see them roll out the red carpet for all these people, the surviving victims, and for the family of the woman who was lost.
Yeah. On the football side, I guess the hot button subject is Chris Jones.
Yep.
For Kansas City. And some people are talking about Mike Evans from Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got to tell you something. I saw him drop a lot of passes this year for Tampa Bay. And he's up there in years already. I know he's been one monster player and he's a Hall of Fame caliber type player and all that. I don't know if I'm Kansas City, maybe I'm thinking somebody slightly younger than Mike Evans. And he's also had some injuries the last couple of years too. I don't know if I would agree with that move, to be quite honest. And I know it sounds crazy.
I'd be shocked if they signed Mike Evans. I think that is more of like a media, like, hey, you know who'd be a great fit there, rather than like that's actually going to happen type of thing. They don't sign guys over 30. They traded Tyreek Hill because they didn't want to pay him into his 30s. Okay, and Tyreek Hill is a better player than Mike Evans. I'd be floored.
Can I add one more caveat why it doesn't make sense to me also? Okay, so you want to bring back Jones or not? You want to bring back some other guys? Isn't it Jarius also?
Jarius Sneed, yep.
Right, he's like a super important piece. So now you're going to go out in veteran free agency and spend money? No, if Kansas City, you draft.
Yeah.
That way you don't pay for the damn receiver. And you go get a guy in your first or second rounds. There's a lot of receivers. Just make sure you hit on them. And if you hit on them along with Rice, along with Kelsey, dude, you'll be fine, bro. You'll be fine. In fact, the Green Bay kid started showing up at the end. So maybe he can become your 3 or 4 next year. What the hell? To me, money-wise, it makes sense for the Chiefs to draft a receiver, not go see them.
So, look, the Chiefs offseason, I would theoretically bet a lot of money on the idea that they're going to cut MVS and save $12 million.
Okay.
And they are going to restructure some of Mahomes' money. Now, I don't know if they'll do the whole thing. If they do the whole thing, they save about $35 million this year. So they've already got space. They're at about 15 to 17 projected. If they cut MVS, it's now almost 30. My strong inclination is they are going to do what they need to do to keep at least one of Sneed and Jones. I think Jones is the priority at the moment. He's going to be more expensive because he's at this point in the conversation for being the most expensive player in NFL history on the defensive side of the football. I don't think they're going to tag him. Tagging him would be $32 million. I don't think they're going to do that. I think Sneed is very much in the conversation for being tagged because he's $18 million. And I could see the Chiefs just being like, you know what's worth it to us? $18 million to tag you and then sign you at a later date.
And later date, exactly. And you can rework that deal and lower that number down. Exactly. And that's it. And by the way, the trick is as the offseason wears on and you've got the tag, the money dries up, and then you got to sit there
and negotiate.
Yeah, we need to negotiate. We need to negotiate a long-term deal because if not, what are we going to do? Sign a 1-year deal and put your knee at risk? No, we're not.
And so, and I think it's more likely they sign both those guys than neither. I think it's probably, though, the most likely that they sign one of them long-term. My guess is that would be Jones. I mean, Jones, now listen, he was fueled by an ungodly amount of alcohol in the moment, but at the parade was yelling, I'm coming back. I'm coming back. I want to be here for 3 more years, all the rest of it. So look, I think at some point here, I think they will figure this out. They tried all summer long, and he, as we talked about all summer long, had a holdout that did not exactly play into his favor. I think they will sign him at some point. I don't think it's easy. I don't think it's guaranteed. But I think they will do everything they can to sign him. But I think one of he and Sneed will come back. I think though it's much more likely that the 2 of them come back and they don't go make a big splash at receiver than they let one of those guys walk so they could go out and sign, Hollywood Brown. That's just not who they are. I don't think they're going to do that. Like, I think they're much more likely to keep this defense together as much as possible. And then in the draft, go take a guy at 32, go take a guy in the second round. Or in free agency, add a guy like Tyler Boyd, who's not going to break the bank. Like somebody like that. I just don't see. I know everybody thinks they're going to go out and sign T. Higgins. They're not signing T. Higgins.
Oh, that's a lot of money, bro. No,
they're not doing that. They're not going to do that.
No, that doesn't. No. But the Tyler Boyd one is a really good.
That's like the typical. Like they would do like 2 and 20, and hey, he's going to give you 800 yards, and it's just what they did with Juju. 1 year, $8 million, and like he'll come in and he'll stabilize.
He's a better receiver. He's a better receiver than everybody you have right now, except for Rice and Kelsey.
I agree. Which is why they'll look at him and go, he'll get them 10 yards of reception and he'll have 80 receptions. And they'll just,
bro. Please.
That's it. That's how they'll. So I would look at something like that. They're not going to go out and sign a huge name receiver. I'd be shocked.
No. Higgins is going to get number one money, bro. Number one.
He's going to get 25 a year if he hits free agency. Yeah.
Yes. If he hits now, Cincinnati may do the bullshit tag stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but he's going to have to stick to his guns. He's going to have to, because, cheap ass Mike Brown is going to try to, corner him. And if you're T. Higgins, unfortunately, you may have to run the risk of playing a season on the tag.
I wonder if T. Higgins, if they tag him, which I think they will tag him. If they tag him, I wonder if T. Higgins will just say, look, I'm not playing for you. Trade me. Yeah. And by the way, if T. Higgins does hit the market, the team that makes the most sense to me in flashing lights is Tennessee. He is from Tennessee. He went to school at Clemson, and his offensive coordinator is now the head coach there. And they have the second most cap space in the NFL and have no long-term plan at receiver. Like, if there's
the draft pick screwed up. What's his name?
Treylon Burks, who really hasn't come to fruition. Like, if there's ever a team that'll just be like, yeah, that guy, like Higgins to me in Tennessee seemed like a match made in heaven. But the only thing that would concern me with Higgins, he's always been the number 2 receiver, and he's got Joe Burrow. And like, what happens when you're the number 1 receiver and you're Will Levis? Then what happens?
Yeah.
That always concerns me when guys go from a situation like that to a situation and go, yeah, it's not quite the same thing this time around.
I know, but he looks like the real deal.
I love the guy. I just worry about.
You're saying right now, okay, you might be a little young, but it happened when you were young. Peerless Price.
Yeah.
Peerless was playing great in Buffalo, had the quarterback, was playing opposite of Eric the Beast Molds.
Yeah.
And putting up great numbers, and then Atlanta went and gave him a contract to make him their number 1. And you found out soon enough that Peerless Price, by the way, former Tennessee receiver also, was not really worthy of a number 1. He was a guy that should be always a number 2 or number 3, and that kind of got exposed. And by the way, that kind of sped up his exit from the league.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because of that. So, but I don't see T. Higgins like Peerless Price. I don't.
Listen, I think he'll be fine, but it would be a question that would be in my mind. There are some guys, listen, that were number 2s that like Reggie Wayne was a number 2 early in his career. Obviously, it worked just fine. He was okay. Torrey Holt was a number 2 coming in. He was just fine. I mean, there are plenty of examples of that. But there have been guys, Peerless Prices of the world, who it's like, yeah, hey, he's great. And then it's like he's a number 1. You're like, oh, he's really a number 2. I don't think that's the case with Higgins. I agree with you, but it would be something that would give me a little bit of pause.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And I have I pulled out the experience from that one with Price. So I've seen it happen before. I just don't think in this case. Oh, by the way, Mike Wallace.
Yeah. Yes, Mike Wallace. Yes, absolutely.
Another one. The speed and all that. And then, we had an idiot GM that thought that he was a number 1, and the rest is history. So it is possible for stuff like that to happen. I just think that T. Higgins is, as the kids say, he's the shit. That's kind of the way I look at him, overall. What'd you think of after everything is said and done, the 3-peat thing for your team? Is that going to be the ultimate motivator for everybody to come back and get this thing done?
I think that it will be a motivator for guys like Chris Jones. Chris Jones has already gotten paid a fortune. Not that you don't want another fortune, but he's already gotten paid. I think it matters to him. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame. It matters to him, I believe, to be on a team that can say that. A guy like L'Jarius Sneed has never gotten paid. He's a 4th round pick on a rookie deal. I think it matters less to him. Like, I think he wants his money, and he should, and I don't blame him, and I would too. I do think that it's an interesting carrot to dangle out there for guys like Drew Tranquil, who, or Willie Gay, who are free agents who aren't going to get nearly as much money, and maybe it's close and you come back to try to win another title. The one thing I am interested in, even though technically those guys wouldn't be three-peating, the guys who are out there who are like the guys who get cut, the cap casualties, the veteran guys, the older players, like, how much does it just take? Come on along for the ride. As far as guys on the team, I think it obviously means the most to guys like Mahomes and Andy Reid, because those are the positions that are judged by this stuff, right? I mean, like I said, Jones, I think it matters. Kelsey, because Kelsey at this point is such a star in his own right. But, like, I think it's going to really motivate Mahomes, which in turn is going to put a burr under everybody else's ass, because Mahomes is going to be a burr under everybody else's ass. Like that. That's going to be a thing, right? It's going to be, they're going to have some guys who by nature are just a little complacent. I mean, think about this. They have a draft class right now that last year started like 8 different guys on the team, 6 of them on defense. They've done nothing but win a Super Bowl. Like, they don't know anything. They've shown up and they've won 2 Super Bowls. I think human nature is a little bit of like, hey, man, we're just going to roll out the balls and we're going to win again. The funny thing about this last year, though, is it was so hard for them. Like, I wonder if that almost benefits them next year, that it's like, hey, it's not just a roll out the balls and win thing. They didn't go 15-2. They didn't go 14-3 and just destroy teams. Like, they really had to earn it. I think that Mahomes will be incredibly motivated, which is why I think the team itself will be as well. But it's going to be interesting. I think it helps to bring back Jones. I don't know that it matters for a guy like Snead, though.
All right. Another thing I got to ask you, where does Justin Fields land? Who trades for him? Because there are a bunch of teams out there that still need a quarterback. You figure they're going to take Caleb Williams, number 1, right? So if you're going to take Caleb Williams, you're going to need to move Justin Fields before. What's the team that ends up with him?
I think there's a handful of teams that make a lot of sense. I mean, to me, Atlanta makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh makes all the sense in the world to me. I mean, if you're the Steelers, let's call it what it is here. Kenny Pickett can't play. Period. Okay. End of story. Like, let's just stop the charade that it's going to be him and Mason Rudolph in camp. I mean, if it is, you might as well shut down the season. It's over. Okay. The Raiders are interesting. They need a quarterback. Denver's interesting. Denver needs a quarterback. And Denver has no money. So Denver, like, really needs a quarterback. The problem with Denver is you've given away 1 million picks the last handful of years. Are you going to give away more picks? And Sean Payton, is Sean Payton enamored with Justin Fields? I don't know. I mean, he loves Taysom Hill, but and Taysom Hill is this running, athletic type of guy, and Fields is a much better quarterback. But like, I don't know. He also had Drew Brees, and Drew Brees was a statue. So it'll be interesting to see what Sean Payton thinks of Justin Fields. I think the team that makes the most sense on paper is Pittsburgh. The Steelers, to me, you've got to have a guy. I'm sorry. You cannot go into next season and sell this idea that those guys are the answer. And I don't think if you're the Steelers, you're getting anybody in the first round we're talking about. You're drafting too far back.
Right.
So if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm trading a second for Justin Fields. If it doesn't work out, so what? It's a second round pick. You're not giving up 3 firsts.
No.
I mean, teams have rebounded from far worse. The Niners drafted Trey Lance, and they were in the Super Bowl this year. Like, if I'm Pittsburgh, that's the route I'm going. Now, will they do it? Who knows? But I think there's going to be a robust market out there for Fields. I think he brings back a day 2 pick, maybe even a secondary pick as well.
I love his toughness.
Yeah, I think he's worth
determination. I think this kid's a fighter. I would easily give up a second round pick for Justin Fields and take a chance in a league that is so hard to find a decent quarterback, dude. If you have no quarterback, I don't know how you don't make a move for Justin Fields if you're only giving a second rounder and you're inheriting his contract too. By the way, you don't really have to give him a big contract or anything in the process. So there's a lot of positives to it. If it works out, you're a genius. If it doesn't, dude, you gave up a second round pick. It's not the end of the world.
That's it.
It's a really good gamble for any of those teams that you talked about.
Yes, I think if you're any of those teams, it's worth the shot. Because to me, if you're going to get a veteran quarterback, like what are the other options here? Okay, now Cousins and Mayfield, okay, but it's my opinion. I think both those guys are going back to where they are.
Well, Mayfield's not going. They're not going to let him go in Tampa, dude. Come on.
And if you're the Vikings, like you're pretty good. Like you're in the NFC, like you're a team that could be in the divisional round of the playoffs, maybe even get the NFC title game if you're lucky.
But do you want Justin Jefferson? You better get him a quarterback.
Right. I mean, you're gonna let that guy walk out the door. Like to me, come on. And Cousins and O'Connell, they get along well. I just think he'll go back there. So if it's not those two guys, you're talking about what now? Russell Wilson, Ryan Tannehill, like. And by the way, I think Tannehill,
but Tannenbaum has Russell Wilson backing up Aaron Rodgers in New York.
Yeah, that's fine. I will say that's not going to happen. I also would say that there might be a
suggestion I have ever heard in my life, dude.
There might also be
that guy stays on television, to be quite honest.
There might be a mutiny in that locker room by the second day of the season, having to deal with both guys. I can't even. I mean, you have one guy doing high knees down the plane, and the other guy trying to tell you that if you take hydroxychloroquine at bulk rate, things are good.
Rodgers is going to be locked in the bathroom, in a dark bathroom in the airplane, while Russell Wilson is running up and down the aisles. That's what it is. One quarterback in a dark room, and the other one just running up and down the aisle.
Robert Saleh would be like, how like in the beginning of a presidency, they take a photograph and then they take one at the end, and the guy's aged like 57 years. Robert Saleh would be that man over a 4-month period. Like I can't. Robert Saleh would have like a gray beard and a cane by the end of it. I mean, it would just be. I can't even imagine. But look, Tannehill. The one thing that is interesting with him is, of course, he's played in Tennessee for years, and Arthur Smith was there as his OC, and now he's the OC in Pittsburgh. Right. So do those dots connect? Does Pittsburgh just go, all right, we'll take Tannehill? I'd rather have Fields, but for a lot less money and a lot more upside. But you know how the NFL works, so. We'll see, but I'm not over the moon about bringing in Russell Wilson. By the way, Russell Wilson, quick thing, I could see him being with the Raiders. He wanted to. The Raiders were one of those teams that he was interested in when he was leaving Seattle, and the Raiders are the Raiders, and I can see the Raiders just being like, "Sure, what the hell."
No, but that's not a bad suggestion. And that's not even a joke on your part. I think that's a stopgap type of thing for them. While they search for their young guy, a bridge guy for a year or two. Dude, Russell didn't play bad last year.
No, he was pretty average, which was a market improvement from where he was a year ago.
I mean, he didn't play bad. He played better than some other quarterbacks in the league. So it wasn't like he was terrible, dude. He's serviceable for you. And right now, if you're the Raiders, you need something serviceable to get you by while you draft the future, hopefully, at one point or another.
No, I agree with that. I agree, and I think it's interesting. We'll see. I mean, if you're the Raiders and you have Russell Wilson, I mean, you're not winning a Super Bowl, but you're competitive. You're at least like a team that you look at and go, okay, like they're respectable. And if you're Devontae Adams, you're like, thank God, right? It's better than Jimmy G, and it's better than Aiden O'Connell, and the question with those two teams that's really interesting is so the Raiders draft 13th, the Broncos draft 12th. They're not getting those top three guys. What about a J.J. McCarthy? What about a Bo Nix? What about a Michael Penix Jr.? Like, are they gonna pull the trigger and take one of those guys, or do they look at those guys and go, yeah, that's nice. Like, I don't want a guy who's 24 and in the case of Penix injury prone, or in the case of Nix, like was terrible at Auburn, terrible in a pro style system with Oregon.
You mentioned the Raiders also for Justin Fields is not a bad move.
No, not at all. I think. Fields to me is like, if you don't love one of these rookie quarterbacks, just go trade a second round pick for him.
Amen.
Amen. People treat draft picks like, and first rounders are one thing, but like picks, people treat them like, oh my God, you gave up a 4th round pick. I mean, who cares?
Yeah.
Like 9 times out of 10, that 4th round pick is going to be either a guy or somebody you cut in a year. Like, yeah, it's okay. It's all right. Like I like the Chargers. The Chargers are probably going to have a couple trades here in the works because they got to get into the cap and anything else. Khalil Mack had 17 sacks last year. Would I trade a 4th round pick for a year of Khalil Mack? Yeah, I would. If I'm a contending team, damn right I would. If I could afford to do it. Like, who cares? You're giving up a mid-round pick? Yeah, I would do it absolutely.
Yep. All right. Good stuff there. Oh shit, what was it? Oh yeah, what are you working on Sports Illustrated so people can check you out, my friend?
A lot of off-season stuff, man. Just kind of rolling through a lot of AFC stuff as I'm sitting here. Best fits, one move a team should make, all those kind of staples. Next week I'm in Indy, so I'll be in Indianapolis. I'm sure people here don't want it, but I'm in the magazine, the SI Presents with the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and the article that I wrote was the Chiefs-Dolphins game. I know. I'm sure a lot of Miami fans aren't like, yes, I can't wait to read about that game, but I did pen the article. So yeah, but next week's gonna be all combine coverage every day, article a day coming out of what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and I'll be writing that from St. Elmo's as I'm drowning myself in a shrimp cocktail. So, yeah, that's where I'll be.
Beautiful thing. There you go. And follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. Matt, as always, you're awesome, baby. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks.
You got it. The great Matt Verderame.